Hi everyone, it's me Joseph Harwood, and for this episode of Agitprop Interviews, I wanted to bring you someone that was a massive inspiration and figurehead in my growing up. I was obsessed, as you guys probably know by now because I've said it many times, with the Club Kids, the Blitz, Taboo, Leigh Bowery, and all things LGBT throughout the 80s and 90s. So every opportunity as a kid where there was a TV show where they interviewed the people from these infamous London scenes and eventually into the New York scenes, I used to always be fascinated by Leigh Bowery and Tilley. Now, Sue is an incredible lady. She was the muse of Lucian Freud, and her painting became the most expensive at auction painting whilst the artist was still alive. And her interesting kind of juxtaposition between her working in a benefit centre and also being this kind of figure of the club scene and also this incredible muse of a famous artist, all of this was a fascinating story that I wanted to connect with. So here is a wonderful interview, and please check out Sue's information at the very end. Well, I guess we should probably start at the beginning. Where were you? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Putney. I lived there till I was 2, but I can't remember it. And then we moved to Paddington, right in the middle of everything. And it's a great big house, because my dad worked in the bank, and it was above the bank in Paddington. And I lived there in the same house with my aunties, uncles, and my cousins. And we had some rooms we shared, and we had our own kitchens and sitting rooms, but we had the same entrance. And I shared a bedroom with my cousin. And then when I was 6, my mum decided it wasn't really a very good place for us to grow up because it was full of prostitutes and drunks. Little did you know that was my favourite thing. And I used to sit out the window staring at them. I think it was a lifelong obsession that I acquired when I lived there. So we moved to Surrey, to Hersham in Surrey. And then my auntie and uncle and cousin just moved 5 minutes up the road. And then when I was 11, my dad's job changed, so we had to move to Harpenden in St Albans. So it was very middle class and very nice. And then when I was 18, my mum and dad moved to Windsor, and I moved to Watford to go to college. Don't really know why. But, and then, so I lived in Watford and around there for 3 years. Then, as soon as I could, I moved to Kentish Town, and I moved in with some friends, and my life began.
So, were you always kind of like around creative LGBT people? Because there's been so much like in the media about the story of Taboo and the Blitz. Yeah. And what was your kind of like entry point to meeting these kinds of people?
Well, when I left college, I didn't really know any till I was 21. How bizarre is that? I must have done, but I didn't realise they were gay. I wasn't up on such matters. Now I'm an expert. But anyway, so when I left college, I started working in the job centre, and there was a gay boy there called Ian Critchley. And you know, you're just obsessed with someone and you just really love them and you like them.
Yes.
Well, we made very good friends. And he introduced me to the world of the homosexual and the world of the gay nightclub. I mean, to be honest, first of all, I think he thought I was a bit of a nuisance because, you know, I was a new girl in town. But that soon changed.
Yes.
And, yeah, so we had a lovely time when we were in our 20s now. And funny enough, he left the job centre and then went off to have a very high-up job at the BBC. And I was speaking to him the other day, and he's doing a series of podcasts, so he's going to do one with me as well. So, you know, I've been friends with him for over 40 years. And I always say, thank you, Ian. You started it all off for me.
So when was this, like, when was the era of gay clubs kind of like, what were the first gay clubs you went to?
I think the first place I went to was the Black Cap in Camden.
Right.
Because my friend came to stay with me, and we'd gone to Hampstead or somewhere, and we'd seen a drag act by mistake. I'd never seen a drag act before, but of course, immediately, I just realised that I love drag acts. And so, yeah, we went to the Black Cap to see them again. And then I think, what first gay club did I go to? Then I went to Bangs in Turnpike Lane with Ian. That was just a Friday night thing in a club called Lasers. And then I lived in this big house in Kentish Town. We were always having parties. We met loads of people there. And he was friends with one of my flatmates, was Stephen Luskin from Le Mange. And he told us we should go to Churchyard's Behind Heaven. So we did, and that's where I met Leigh, and my whole life changed yet again.
Yes. Was there something like in the air just of that era? Well, because it seems like there was this just like amazing ability for these club nights to kind of like, I don't know how to describe it really, to kind of like blossom these amazing creatives. Because so many people became in bands or artists. And did you pick up on this at the time? Was there like some weird like buzz in the air?
Not really, but I was thrilled the first time someone I knew was on top of, because my obsession, if I decide one hobby and obsession, it's just pop stars and pop. And the fact that someone I knew was on top of the pops, couldn't believe my eyes. I was so thrilled. And it's weird, I often say now, like most of the people from there are really famous and successful, or else they died, really, one or the other.
Which can kind of be successful too.
It was a very small scene, you know what I mean? There wasn't tons of people, and there was only like one club a night, so you used to see everyone you know. And it's amazing how many of them went on to achieve this, that and the other. And also, I suppose a lot of them all help each other. You know, they went to university and college together and all that sort of thing.
Who were your pop stars that you looked up to during that era?
Oh, where do I begin? Boy George, of course. Then Human League. The best programme, once I saw this programme, Going Live, was a Saturday morning telly programme. And they used to have video vote, and they get pop stars on the panel. And one year there was like Duran Duran, Wham, Boy George, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and that general era, Spandau Ballet, of all those pop stars. That's what I'll always love. Don't know what. There's just like, I suppose that was the era when I had the most fun. I was going out the most, and I loved the songs, and I still love them now.
Oh, you mentioned earlier that you were working at a job centre. Was it like a combo of seeing your friends in the arts and then also growing up in that environment where you saw these people that were sex workers or whatnot? Did you like have like an urge to help in working at the job centre, or what kind of led you to work there?
Well, I'm not lazy, but I am kind of lazy in many ways, and I let things happen to me. I left college, I went to sign on, and they said, "Oh, we've got a job here. Do you want to come and work in?" It was their head office it was in Watford at the time, and there was a big head office there doing stats. I went, "Oh, all right then," and then I just sort of stayed because you got paid all right. You got a lot of holidays. It was flexi time, so it didn't really mess up much with my general life. But in my mind, when I was young, I thought I'd quite like to be a social worker, and I thought the job centre would be a bit more like that. But it wasn't really. But anyway, I always did my best to help everyone.
Yes.
I wasn't horrible to people. I was always trying to be kind.
I know
of course, a lot of my friends from work were signing on and everything.
That's what I was going to ask, because I know like so many of my friends, even though they're crazy creatives, it's trying to get work sometimes when you're living every day in this kind of creative state is kind of hard. And I can only imagine like 25 years before how hard that would have been too. Oh my God.
But the thing is, there was this couple of schemes that were really helpful for creative people then. There was the enterprise allowance scheme where you could set up your own business. You get 40 quid a week. I mean, that doesn't sound much, but I think the dole was only about like 23 quid a week. So you could live on £40 a week and you could run your business and not have to worry about looking for work or everything. And sometimes I had to go around and inspect the businesses, and I think they were all worried. And then I turned up, they just take one look at me and go, "Oh, she'll be all right." And then there was another thing called the community programme, where you could get jobs. You get paid a bit more than the dole money. They're only like part-time jobs, but you could work in social care, work in Hampstead Heath or Highgate Cemetery, do general voluntary jobs. And a lot of people I know, their careers have carried on from that really, and they've got good jobs in social work and whatever, because that started them off. So those schemes were really good then. And there was good training schemes as well. You could really do, you could go to Pitman's and do a proper shorthand and typing course, or go and learn to be a carpenter. But it wasn't like a half-baked training. It was really proper and serious and really worth doing.
Oh.
But they don't have to do it anymore, sadly.
So when you started to venture into this mad night world, and as you said, you met Leigh Bowery, who is an icon to many creative people for all of the amazing variant work he did, what was your first meeting like? Like, how did you stumble on each other?
Well, he was a friend of a friend, and he hadn't turned into Leigh Bowery as such then. He just dressed like everyone else with like short trousers, braces, cropped hair, long on top hair. And he just has he's got a lovely cheery face, and we just got on like a house on fire. and then just became friends. To be honest, I'm like that now. I can meet one person one day, next day they're my good friend. I'm just good at meeting people. It's my talent in life.
That's good.
But we had a lot in common, really, because although he looked like a freak, he came from a very religious family because his parents were social workers and were in the Salvation Army. My mum and dad were religious types and went to church all the time. And so we liked the same things, and we just got on. When you just get on with someone.
Yes.
We only had 2 rows, I think, in our whole life.
Oh, wow. It's funny, I didn't realise there was a link to their church because my grandparents, one of them, my granddad was an evangelical preacher, but originally was part of the Salvation Army, and my grandma was involved with the Sunday school at the Salvation Army, and we lived in a church for some of my childhood.
People slag off the church, but they really do a lot to help people, a lot of them.
Oh, so much. People don't understand.
When my dad died, the church was so lovely to her. You know what I mean? And all her friends were there, were lovely.
Yeah, it's community. And my great aunt is still with us. And even when she's been poorly, people from the church go out and make an effort more so than I think most elderly people get, like help-wise. And there's always been a tolerance for me and my craziness that even though I wasn't allowed to be baptised because my parents weren't married. Which is a good thing, probably, because I probably set on fire as soon as entering the building as an adult. But there you go. But no,
Jesus liked freaks.
Yes. But I've always been. I've always thought people have the wrong impression of church communities because the people themselves are like sort of the earth, awesome people.
I know, so helpful, lovely. I don't want to go to church myself. I find it a bit boring. But I went to church every Sunday till I was about 16. I had to.
Yeah.
But it was all right. My favourite bit was sausage roll afterwards. But,
That's so funny.
That's why I really hate people when slag off. I'd say I was agnostic. I don't really know what's there. But especially in these times now, you think to yourself, what is going on? Who is doing this? You know what I mean? It's forces more than what we can ever understand, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. We're just to mention to the audience, because I'm not sure when the timeline of this will come back, because my producer...
We're on lockdown.
We're on lockdown. How are you doing during lockdown? Is everything okay with you?
I'm thoroughly enjoying it, to be honest. I think I'm used to being on my own, so I live on my own. I'd go out most days, generally, but... And I was ill a couple of years ago. I had several different... Never really ill, but things that I couldn't go out. And so I'm kind of used to being in the house and on my own, looking after myself. And I've got lots of little projects I'm doing to keep me busy, so I'm thrilled.
I saw an article and an interview you did in The Guardian that actually showed your home, and it's beautiful. You've got lots of stunning, different touches and things. Do you love expressing yourself in your interiors?
I love it so much, because all the time I lived in London, I lived in Grotty ex-council flats. Everyone I know lived in them. Flats are really small.
Yes.
And even all those new build flats, they're really small, aren't they, and got low ceilings. And when I was a kid, when I lived in Paddington, it was a huge mansion house we lived in with huge ceilings and huge rooms. So in my bones, that's what I always wanted to go back to live in. And then I came to visit my friend who lived here. I thought, it's quite nice there. I'd never been there. I thought, it's quite nice. And so I looked on Rightmove and I just saw all these amazing flats with high ceilings, big windows, beautiful buildings, and so cheap. So the next day I put my flat on the market in Bethnal Green and decided to move here. And it's the best thing I ever did.
Where are you at the moment?
In St Leonards-on-Sea, which is very near Hastings, more or less the same place.
Oh, lovely.
Tons of creative people here. Loads of my friends from London have come down here. My friend Wayne, who runs loads of gay clubs in London, he's got a pub here. Loads of people who worked at Taboo are here, so we call it Taboo on Sea for a joke. And I see my friends much more now I live here than I ever saw them in London, because people like to come down for a visit. And I've made so many new friends while I've been here as well. It's such a lovely place. It's so creative. And also, there's loads and loads of second-hand shops. And there's this big, huge warehouse called French Depot, which is where I just get all my furniture from. It's just amazing.
Oh, my God.
So you just get beautiful furniture. And then the man brings it round that afternoon and just puts it in place. And it's not like, when you buy something from a furniture shop, it takes 6 months to come, then you have to put it together, and there's tons of cardboards and paper, you don't know what to do with it. So it's marvellous. So I could just swing you around my room.
Oh,
Can you see that amazing chest thing there?
Yes.
Yeah, that's from French Depot.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I got some French Depot. So I got some IKEA furniture and I threw it all away.
Yeah, it's so good to have personal touches. I've recently been trying to, when I met my partner 3.5 years ago, I decided to put my home and stuff in storage because he's got several homes. So I have all this crazy furniture that I've got like an old teak tree. And just before lockdown, I was trying to get all my stuff out of storage to sell. And then in the midst of it, it was like, we can't go out. So I'm like, oh my God. Do you like adding personal touches to the things you find?
Oh, not really, because they're always so lovely. I don't need to.
You don't need to touch them.
No, but I just love them as they are. So I don't do sticking things on them and applique it and all that business. I just leave them as they are because they're so lovely. But all my pictures I've got in my house, most of them are personal to me. There's someone I know's done them. I wouldn't go to IKEA and buy, or Next, and buy a picture of Pebbles, So, but really, every single picture in my house is a story behind it of how I got it, and someone who gave it to me or painted it for me.
So, I read that you were studying at one point to be an art teacher.
I was.
What was the motivation behind that? Obviously, because you're artistic and you paint, which I'll talk about in a sec. But
when I left, I was very bone idle at school, and I was good luck I passed any exams really. And I thought, I'll go to this teacher training college to be an art teacher. And that's like the 3 most boring years of my life that really I've forgotten everything about it. It was so bizarre. But anyway, so then I went to work at the job centre, But then just recently, I've become an art teacher.
And you're offering art classes and quizzes on social media during lockdown, which is excellent.
I know, because I had my art class, first of all, at Wayne's Pub, and that was really successful. We were oversubscribed, and people really loved it. Because I don't teach them, because I can't bear everyone being taught the same. So I let them develop their own styles. And we're very positive, and we love everyone's work. So everyone was sad when that finished because lockdown. So then there's this... As I told you, loads of people here are creative. And so some of them got together and set up this station called Isolation Station Hastings. And they asked me if I'd do my quiz and my art class online. So I am.
I think that's fantastic because you've done such amazing, like almost illustrations, not just of your friends from Taboo, but also of household objects that I was really fascinated by. And those actually became something amazing because you collaborated with Fendi.
I know. How lucky was that? See, I know it's a terrible thing to say. It's not what you know in life, it's who you know. And luckily, because I'm so chatty and friendly, I've got loads of friends and they're always giving me fantastic opportunities.
Which is amazing. So you did the Spring-Summer 2018 menswear one?
Did.
So what was the idea behind that? Because they were like illustrations and they were printed onto things. And what was your inspiration?
Well, Julian Gagnon is my friend and he's their like stylist. He's stylist for loads of big fashion houses. And he's really good friends with Sylvia Fendi. And he just loves my pictures. His favourite picture he owns is a picture I drew of my dad that he has in his house. He has little chats with my dad. Although my dad's dead in real life. So anyway, he was going to me, oh, yeah, right. But you know what people are like. They say things, you think, that'll never happen. It'll just be rubbish. And then it did happen. And so it only took me about 3 days to do. Because it was really, they wanted to have an office casual look. And so they sent me pictures of things you find in the office, like a phone, a cup of coffee. And then there was a banana skin in it, which was actually, while we were chatting, it was the banana that Sylvia was eating for her lunch. And she just took a photo of it, sent the photo of me, the barn skin, I drew it, sent it back, and that was that.
That is pretty amazing.
I know. And I don't just moved here. I was doing it all in the spare room, surrounded by boxes, while my builder was building the kitchen.
Gosh, it's like there must be some sort of like magical element to this because I always think like whenever, because I'm really introverted and I very rarely go to, like my friends used to try and recruit me to go to all the nightclubs when I was like 15 and 16, so I caught like the Circus as it was just closing in London and all of the like things that Princess Julia was involved with, who you know. When I was about 16, 17, 18, 19, my friends used to try and sneak me off to them, but I'm quite an introverted person, so I never understand how things come my way when I've had opportunities, but I always attribute it to some magical element. I
think I've got magic dust on me somewhere.
Yes.
Because things that happen to me are so weird that, in your mind, you have a little idea. Oh, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do that, but I don't really do much about it. And then people just ask me to do these things, and it's so weird. The things they ask that happened to me, I could never believe. I could never even think that was something that would happen. If you know what I mean.
Yes. Yeah.
I never thought I'd be a model in one of the most famous paintings in the world.
Well, that's what I was going to go into, because it's absolutely kind of incredible, and I think it's kind of indicative, because at the start, when we were talking just before I began asking questions, you mentioned you were also volunteering at the moment with the NHS during the self-isolation, and I always think when you give things to others, you get energy back, and there's something in that. And when you were younger, Lucian Freud, the incredible artist, did a series of paintings of you, and one of them broke the record as the most expensive painting ever sold when the artist was still alive.
Living artist at auction.
And that went for $33.8 million.
Yes.
How on earth does that feel to think because I find art to be incredible anyway. Just to put a price on art is incredible, but to think oh my God, I am the feature of something worth that magnitude of.
I know, freaky. But then I add it up because there's 4 of them. So in my mind, I'm probably worth about $100 million. But no, because to be honest, that day changed my life. Really, it did. The day because I was at work and. They said, the Evening Standard are here to see you downstairs. I thought, what they want must be something to do with work or something. And they went, because we've been told that this picture of you is going to sell. It's the biggest selling painting in the world. I was going, how do you know? Because I didn't really understand the art world and what to do it was. Now everyone knows everything that's going on and they know what it will sell for and everything. I was going, what? And I was thinking, it'd be a bit embarrassing if it didn't. I'd be made look a right fool. And then they asked me to go and get a photo, so I thought I'll run upstairs and put my lipstick on. And I Googled it, nothing there, nothing. I thought, perhaps it's a treat, perhaps it's a candid camera. And then the next day, it kind of went mental. I've never, I think I like attention, but it was too much. My phone never stopped. All the newspapers, all the telly, everything were chasing me. I couldn't sleep. I went right weird because I couldn't quite believe what had happened to me. I was just freaking out, really. Going, how can this be? It's just odd. And then I had to wait about 6 weeks to the actual auction. And then that day was just the weirdest day in the world ever.
What did it feel like?
Well, I don't know. I couldn't really think about it because I was just from 7 in the morning, my phone was just going and people had pre-booked me to do things. I had cars waiting outside my house. I had tele crew vans outside my flat. Everywhere I went, and I was being driven all over London to all these different places. But there was the traffic in London, it was just roadblock everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was all on my own, so I didn't think, I need someone with me. I didn't know this would happen. And so it was just really peculiar. And I ended up being rude to poor Katie Deerham. Most embarrassing moment of her life, apparently.
What happened?
Well, I've been all over London, and the ITV crew was waiting outside my house, and they filmed me in this big piece of grass outside my flat. And I had a headpiece while she was talking to me, and she affectionately called Fatsu. And I went, my head was spinning so much, I just almost threw I went, my name's not Fatsu, please don't call me that, it's not my name. Poor woman, she was mortified.
Wow.
But anyway, and then there was that very time, that song by the Tingalings, whatever was out, the Ting Tongs.
Yeah.
And so the Vile, what's his name? Used to do Chris Moyes or whatever. He did all week on the radio. He did me singing, "It's not my name, it's not my name."
Oh my God. Was this 2008?
I don't know. Something about then. Let me have a look. See, this is how useless I am. I don't know the dates of anything.
I think that song came up.
It was 2005, but maybe it wasn't. Have a look on. I could Wikipedia myself, couldn't I?
Yes, you can.
See when it's songs.
God, it sounds incredible though. What a strange
series. People they like trying for a bit of attention.
Yes.
I got it by lying around.
Wow.
Oh, you're right, 2008. Sold at Christie's in New York.
So the title of that painting was called Benefit Supervisor Sleeping. Do you think Do you like the name of it?
Got no feelings about it. Oh no, when Lucy wanted to call it, I asked my manager at work if it'd be all right. He went, no, I don't think you should. But anyway, Lucy didn't pay attention, just did what he wanted to do as usual.
Yes. I find it strange because it's almost like, because if you look at the paintings, you look like this magnificent sort of dowager duchess, like abundance, gorgeousness. It's because there's been so many depictions of women in paintings like Rubens in the 1500s or Francois Boucher or whatever, and I think like there's always this like abundant richness about painting a beautiful full woman's figure, but then to call it benefit supervisor was kind of like this opposite thing.
I know, but I like it because it's glamour mixed with plain and ordinary.
Yes.
That's what I am.
So
And
how was it like? Because you were introduced through Lee's was familiar with one of his children, and then you became a life model through that connection. I've always been fascinated by his studio because it reminded me. I know that I mean this with no disrespect, but you know when you see like a chicken coop.
Yeah.
And there's like a build-up of like debris and chicken coops. Like when I've seen pictures in books, because I've always read about Lucian Freud's work, it looks like there's like always like a build-up of like debris, like a chicken coop.
And that was paint. He just used to wipe all his brushes on the wall. And when he died, someone bought his flat. He didn't own his flat. He rented it off someone, like some posh woman. But anyway, she sold it, and this art dealer bought it. And they really carefully took all the debris off the wall and kept squares and gave it to various people to save.
Wow. What was it like being in that environment? Because was it like around the early 90s you began being a model?
I didn't really. It was just like everyone thinks I'll be going, oh, it was the best thing in my life. It was so exciting. But to me, it was just like going to work, really. I didn't mind going. I got up early, didn't have to put any makeup on, threw my clothes on, drove down the Westway to his house, and then just laid there. And he cook me some nice lunch, have a chit chat, and I'll go home.
What was his kind of like demeanour with you?
I was just like nice, like a friend, you know, like a normal person. I mean, I know he was very eccentric, but I love an eccentric person, so I sit there laughing to myself sometimes at the things he'd say.
Yes, because there's not that many interviews.
He was really kind to me, nice.
Oh, fabulous. I can't imagine like when you're kind of like undressed and then there's someone kind of like painting you, like
staring with their eyes getting bigger and bigger to get more in.
Yes. And I heard that he had a bit of a freak out when you went on holiday and got a tan.
He did, yes. He went mad at me.
What happened?
Anyway, that's because part of me, I like to think good and well behaved, but there's this tiny part of me inside that rebels and doesn't like being told what to do. So that I begged him to let me go to this exhibition in France. So he'd organised it all, and then told me I mustn't go in the sun. Couldn't help myself. Oh, well.
Oh, wow.
But then he didn't shout at me. He shouted at his daughter Bella, blaming her because she was there.
Oh.
It was me being ridiculous as usual.
Oh. So when you were like being painted by him, were you literally just sat there still? God, that must be so hard.
But the first one, because it all got better, because the first one I was lying on the floor and I thought I was going to die. And after about 2 days, I thought, I'm going to have to give this up. I can't do this. And I thought, you can. Don't be so ridiculous. Of course you can. That's what I tell, you know. I like having internal chats with myself.
Yes, me too.
So I did it. So after that, when I was on a sofa or a chair, piece of piss in comparison. And you can't really see it, but there's like little cushions stuck behind you in various places for support. But I love the work because they were filthy, so filthy. But I thought to myself that those pillows must be really interesting because they've got all these models' DNA in them somewhere.
Gosh. I was looking at a sort of like insight into his studio, and he had like a night room and a day room. And I can't imagine, like, because obviously you're an artist in yourself and you know how different things look in like the night. Yeah. To be sat there for that period of time, because it was, you modelled for him for how many years?
4 years on and off, 3 years, 3 years on and off.
That's kind of like insanely disciplined to not change. Because I put on weight, sometimes I lose weight, sometimes I get like really sensitive skin, sometimes it's like...
But if you notice the first picture of me, even in the studio, I'm covered in spots and all lumps and bumps. Looks horrible, but he used to love a skin blemish. So if you had a spot, he'd paint it. And then if you got another one, he'd paint that. So all in all, you look like you're really spotty, but really you only had one of them at one time.
Oh.
That's why I look so grotesque in that picture. So it looks like I've got some ailment. But he just loved a scar or a bit of a spot or something. So it made the picture more interesting. Not like, you know, some painters, they make the person all smooth and just...
Yes.
He liked the blemish and, you know, something that was wrong.
I'm fascinated by this. Did he use mostly like oil painting from what you knew?
Yeah, all oil.
It was all oil. Yeah. It's fabulous. Because like some of the stuff that you forget about is like when you paint with oil, you have to wait for things to dry to get that build up.
Yeah, so he had loads and loads of pictures on the go.
Yes.
And they were so huge, you'd work on one bit, leave that to dry, and then move on to another bit of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'd have about 6 or 7 pictures on the go at all the same time, including a self-portrait. So if, say, his model didn't turn up or something, he could paint himself because he was always there.
Mm. Oh, he should have left you some of the proceeds of the sales.
Oh, but he didn't really get, life's not like that. And do you know what's more important than money? Experiences.
And yes, exactly. And to even see him.
That one out. But it's true though, isn't it?
Yes.
I think we're learning now money means nothing.
True.
And I really hope that people realise that and they don't need all these fancy things and they're very happy just entertain themselves and looking at nature and plants.
Yeah, I love plants. I love plants.
I know, I was just sitting in my garden looking at my lovely bulbs that have all come up. They're beautiful.
Yes, yeah, my mum's rearranging the garden here as we speak, which is really nice. I've been trying to negotiate with my partner because he's renovating this house, so he bought loads of plants to arrive this week, but we didn't have the manpower to put them in place. So he's had all the delivery of the plants, so I'm just like, okay, I can't be there to help, so I can't micromanage him from England. Just let him get on with it.
Do you go to work yourself or anything?
Yeah, so I consult now with brands behind the scenes specifically about how to be inclusive in campaigns. So yeah, so I got the opportunity last year to launch a brand under L'Oreal Innovations called Jekka Black, which was the first ever transgender aimed makeup company. So when I did the YouTube videos that got like millions and millions of views, I did male to female transformation with just makeup to help people that didn't have...
I saw one of your videos.
The stuff I've been doing in the last, like, I would say 6 months is totally different. Like, I was literally a teenager when I did all the videos before. And they're kind of like all like juvenile and silly, but they made such an impact on young people that were trans because I don't think you could find much content at the time.
Oh, now full of it. Now, do you live your life as a woman or is it... I know, I don't know.
Oh, no, I understand. I went to school from like 14 and I started to do PE with the girls from that age. Yeah. And then I grew my hair out and I just was very androgynous from 15 to 19. But I modelled for a bit. So they cut me and they cut my hair into David Bowie mullets. So I had like this kind of like girl face with David Bowie mullets, but I'm 6'3", so I'm really tall. So it was just this weird dichotomy of image. Yeah. And then when I stopped doing that and I worked in makeup and I started to do more behind the scenes, I grew my hair out. And then I won that contest and they didn't publicise that I won. They just paid me the 6-figure prize, but they didn't say to anyone that I'd won, which they were meant to do a full press release. So I went with a lot of management and they said, we're not going to work with you unless you have a boy look.
Yeah.
So I didn't have really the flexibility and I was still like in my early 20s. So I wanted to continue my work more than I wanted to be myself, if you know what I mean. So I wasn't fussed about it. I could put on a wig and be myself. I didn't need to be every day. So I kind of regressed when I got to about 22 and I started to play with boy looks for the first time. So now I flip it and I do whatever. I just...
best way, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning...
It's very strange though. Like I never.
So blooming fussy.
Oh God, I know. But
down here, you get all types. It's marvellous.
Yes. I find it's fascinating. I find it fascinating how there's, even though I'm in my 20s, like I think my generation are really caught up on names and boxes, whereas I kind of was raised by all the drag queens that were very much do whatever you want to do. So I don't have actually much understanding of the terms now, even though I guess it is my generation that kind of came up with it. I just think as long as you're calling me something with a smile, I don't really care what you're calling me.
I know.
But
my brother turned non-binary later in life.
Okay.
At the age of 43.
That's cool though.
I don't quite know what it involves. He's dressed, you look at him, you think he was a fella, but he's always got nice nail varnish on.
I guess it's almost like saying you're feminist, isn't it? Because it's like, I understand what the gender roles are and I want to do it my way.
Yeah.
But does it need a label? Who knows?
Not really.
No.
I think we're just all people.
Yes.
And are those people who want to be animals?
Yeah, oh my God, the furries.
Yeah.
But,
we're just what we are, doesn't matter. And why do people go so upset if a man goes dressed out as a woman? It's not hurting them, is it? For me, it's something nice to look at. If everyone dressed the same, it'd be boring.
Yes. I think there's like a lack of understanding of intention though, isn't there? A lot of the times, like people just filter things through almost like the crowd mindset instead of their own.
And they get frightened. They're not going to hurt them in any way. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Well, talking about all gender diversity, you were so involved with the incredible nightlife scene of the 80s and 90s. What... I don't want to ask you loads of questions about other people because I'm fascinated with you individually, but am I allowed to ask you some more about Leigh Bowery?
You can ask me anything you want.
So how did you and Leigh Bowery kind of how did this all come to be? Because you were asked to be the cashier at Taboo.
Yeah.
So what was Taboo even like to someone that can't imagine it now? Because I guess we have an abundance of nightclubs now, but at the time...
Then there was only one where everyone would go to. So you didn't have a choice. Anyone who was a bit freaky would have to go to Taboo. And it was shabby little spot. Do you know what I mean? But it was like a proper disco. It had funny mirrors on the walls and banquettes. Oh, I love a banquet. Cocktails and the manager was such a lovely guy. He just let everyone do what they wanted and turned a blind eye. Like some clubs, they're really fussy. The Sam was lovely and just turned a blind eye to the goings on because he liked it because he was making money at his bar.
Yes.
And so it was and everyone was just off their faces. But, people said there was drugs there and that, but I think I'm a bit innocent because I never saw anyone doing heroin or anything. They probably didn't want to, so I pretend I couldn't see it. I don't know. But, drunk, I just mostly 4 cans of Foster and you end up on the floor. Drunk.
Oh, God. What was the music like then? Was it more pop music at the time?
Oh, yeah, pop music. High energy music. Jeffrey Hinton was DJing and Rachel Alban, I think she DJed there. And, yeah, it was all like general, just disco, pop, like chart hits as well. And then some of the pop played the same records every week, and some people the body map people invented little dances, so everyone knew the dance and joined in because they weren't on the floor. That's
pretty cool. Who are the figures that kind of stood out of that era that were partaking in the nightlife scene of Taboo? Because I know there's people that obviously people associate with the Blitz, like Steve Strange, Boy George, and Marilyn. Who else do people need to research if they're learning about this club culture?
Let me think. A lot of them have died though, unfortunately, like Trojan and the doorman, Mark Fortier, died of heroin overdose. People like John Maybury, Bailey Walsh, both who are successful filmmakers now. Kerry Thwyn Evans, successful artist. John Galliano was always there. Trying to think who the regulars were. Paul Weller came once, wasn't his cup of tea?
I've met Paul before. I knew his son when I was younger.
Yeah, because he's near one thing or the other. I've met him once.
Yeah, he was kind of obsessed with Japanese bands. I think he did a version of their tape. But I went to his 21st birthday and his dad was there, so I got to say hi to him. He was very friendly.
Nice. What else? And just Bananarama, they used to go.
And what year was this? What year did that Taboo actually start?
About 84, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know about dates. I'm rubbish. I can look it up on Google.
The best thing about Google is the time you can check things, isn't it? My lovely niece, she's 2, but she's going on about 5. She's grown so quickly. But she's obsessed with Siri. She calls it Mr. Tumble. So she makes me ask it questions all the time. And it could do this beatbox thing where you're going to ask it to do a beatbox. And she goes, oh, it's so silly. It's so silly. And is in hysterics.
I'm very thrilled. My nephew is 8, because I put all their pictures up on Facebook. And because he's not on Facebook, hasn't got his name on them. So someone just texts me and go, "Oh, I love this picture so much. Can I buy it?" I go, "Yes, by my nephew. He's 8."
Oh.
But this guy's met him, so he was thrilled.
Oh.
Taboo. Let's see when it started. 1985.
Okay.
It became the place to be.
Sure. And
so here on Wikipedia.
When
the place to be, with long queues for those waiting to get in. Drugs, particularly ecstasy, became a part of the dancing scene for the attendees. The club was known for defying sexual convention and for embracing polysexualism, for creating a wild atmosphere and for playing unexpected song selections. There we go. There you need all to know about Taboo.
Yes. You mentioned Trojan. For people that don't know who Trojan was, would you like to talk a little bit about him? Because I know you've painted a few pictures of him as well as Leigh.
Yeah. Well, Trojan was Leigh's best friend. And Leigh bossed him around something rotten. He always mocking him and teasing him and that. Because Trojan was quite sulky and he hadn't been well educated, but he had his own special thoughts and ways, and he was his own special person. But Trojan held one big thing over Leigh, because Leigh fancied him.
Ah.
So that's how the dynamic worked, really. Because Leigh bossed him about and everything, but really, Trojan knew he had the trump card.
It's kind of interesting. Was Leigh bisexual?
Well, he did it with girls, but I think it was any port in the storm, to be honest. People are very highly sexed.
Yes.
About sex the whole time. I think that was him. And so if he couldn't find a boy, a girl might do. But I said his parents were religious and that.
Yes.
But his dad has been married 4 times and 3 wives have died. So that's only he got married, he's been widowed. But I think he must have a high sex drive. Because he's religious. He thinks you have to be married to have sex.
Oh, I see. And he's Australian.
Yeah.
Because Leigh's accent sort of changed as he got more part of the art world, didn't he? Because he started with an Australian accent.
And when he started working for Lucy, it got real snobby and posh. But if you watch, say, for instance, if you watch the programme with Dame Edna in, he'd suddenly go all Australian.
Ah, I love Dame Edna.
Yeah.
She's hilarious too.
I don't like her now, but then she was all right in her day.
Oh, she's 103 now or something. She's fab. When you were all working together at Taboo and you were seeing all these creatives kind of form the early kind of the genesis of their own works, did you think this is going to be some historic thing for our culture in England, or did you think everyone's just doing their own thing and having fun?
I just thought everyone was doing their own thing and having fun. I thought that's what everyone did. I didn't know. All my friends go, I can't believe that people think we were special. We were just doing what we did.
And was this was after the Blitz Club, wasn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of people from the Blitz Club came as well,
Yes, because a lot of the people that started bands from the Blitz, they went off to become mainstream pop kind of figures.
Ballet, what have you.
Yes. And then because there was a link, Leigh would make clothes for people that were in bands, and there's...
Yeah, but what's his name? Johnson and that, Boy George.
And when Taboo kind of ended, what was the next stage? Because I know there was the Mud Club that came after, and then Ginky Kalinky, and there was...
I think Mud Club was before.
Was it before?
I can't remember. Might be.
Because I've only know this from stories and stuff, because I'm fascinated when I watched the documentary about the musical version of Taboo where Boy George came in to play Leigh, and I was interested in what you thought about that. Do you think that the musical kind of portrayed your experience of Taboo?
Not really, but I still loved it because I was so thrilled to be in there.
Yes.
Really. Another thing that's happened to me, did I think that someone would ever be playing me on Broadway? No, I didn't.
And did you meet Rosie O'Donnell? Because I know she was very interested.
She gave me 2 pieces of artwork she'd done.
Did she? Were they good?
No. Pictures cut out and stuck on a bit of canvas with a bit of paint on top. No. But I'm still thrilled I've got them.
Yes. Was she going to play you?
Well, I don't know, because she did say to me, we're more or less the same size. I think she was a lot thinner than me, but still. But it was awful because she was going through a terrible time when Taboo came to America, and so people didn't like it because they'd taken it. I can't remember what she'd done or whatever, but there was some, major scandal going on. And so people sort of boycotted it because of that.
I think she was on The View, wasn't she? And she got into a fight because they're very, like, polarised commentators or something, I think. Who knows? But it's fascinating because I always thought, like, there was a slant to the musical from because I was obsessed with this growing up, because when I was a kid I was trying to find some link to people like myself, because I was just this androgynous creative thing, and I didn't really know where to find myself, because I didn't really see myself in drag, I didn't really see myself in transsexual women, but I found myself somewhere in between. So I used to obsessively watch every documentary I could find on the Blitz and on Taboo, and it's fascinating, and it's such a privilege to speak to you about this stuff.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm trying to find when the Mud Club opened.
Okay. Did you want to speak a little bit about the book you published on Leigh? Because I think from the first-hand account of him, you're probably the best person to...
Oh, you're right, January 80... Yeah, I'm right. It did open before Taboo, January 84.
Okay.
Oh, I've got something right. It's a miracle. What am I talking about now? The book?
Yeah, I'd love you to speak a little bit about the book you wrote.
See, that's another thing in my life. Did I think I'd ever write a book? No, I didn't. But then someone just said to me, because when Leigh died, the Guardian asked me if I'd write an obituary. I thought it was a bit weird. I thought, I can't do that. What are they on about? And I thought, no, Leigh'd want me to. He's always telling me to move on and do different things. So I thought, oh, I'll write it. And they really liked it, and they took me out for lunch and everything. And then someone saw it at Hodder and Stoughton and said, oh, perhaps you can write a book about Leigh. Can you imagine? I mean, nowadays I get things like that all the time. I just go, oh, yeah, all right then. But I was overexcited. I couldn't believe I'd been asked such a thing to do. And so I just got on and did it. Didn't know how to write a book. I didn't read any books telling me how to write books, because I like to do things my own way. And also because I'm a bit lazy. So I thought, I'll just go in now, I'll just do it. And I did it. And it's been a cult classic.
Yes.
So you can get it now on Kindle, on Amazon.
Is there anything, like, a key point that you think people would never know about Leigh that you could tell today?
No. The main secret I've kept all my life is middle name. He made me promise on his deathbed I wasn't to tell anyone his middle name.
Oh, that's okay.
But I keep that to myself. No, I've told everything I need to know about him, really.
Yeah.
It was just like such good fun. I've never met anyone like him, because although he was like... he wasn't really weird, if you know what I mean. He was like a normal person, but had all these different ideas. But, he lived a very normal kind of life, really, because he'd been brought up in a proper family, normal, you know what I mean? He didn't really have issues or anything.
No. I've always fascinated by it's the way that he constructed outfits and looks that were done with a meticulous touch that I've always... Yeah. It's not been replicated since. There's no one that's come close to it.
Oh, no. In my art class on Monday, I was interviewing David Moore.
Okay.
But the thing is, he's got a look, but he doesn't construct it in that way. He just kind of found things on together.
Yes.
He doesn't actually know how to do tailoring, and all, that kind of business.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
But he really only liked doing things for himself, because he didn't really like sewing.
Yes, yeah. I love Daniel Lismore. He is not the same as Leigh Bowery at all, I don't think. Like, Leigh Bowery to me was like, it was almost like painting sculpture.
Yeah. He did loads of research, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything was all researched and thought about, and, and he'd unpick things, and because I'm very slapdash in life, and if I do something, I'd just go, oh, that'll do. And he used to make me dresses, and then, to me, they were fine. No, stand up there. I've got to unpick this bit. So I'd stand there while I unpick the hem and did it all. Can't just be slapdash. But no.
Perfectionism is a thing.
This morning even, I was thinking, if I had to have an affliction in life, I'd like to be OCD.
I'm OCD.
Be able to tidy up and do everything properly.
Oh, no, it's a nightmare. My mum's OCD, my sister's OCD, and I'm OCD. And my mum is like a cleaning fanatic. My sister's like a germaphobe, and I'm like a perfectionist with all my art stuff. So I'm like, it can be stressful sometimes.
Perhaps it's lucky I haven't got it then, eh?
It's not always good. When you're like, when I'm trying to throw glitter in a specific way when I was like a child and my mum's having a panic attack about the glitter getting in the cracks of the floor.
Oh my goodness. Must be a madhouse round at yours.
It can be.
How many are in the house at the moment?
Oh, in this family home right now, we've got me, my sister's partner, my niece, my mum's partner and my mum. So there's all of us.
Oh, so busy then.
Oh, non-stop. But my niece, she kind of is the princess of the castle. So we're all kind of like on her every whim, which is lovely because she's amazing.
And it must be entertaining for you to have a little child there.
Oh, hysterical. We're trying to introduce her to all these games that we played because this home is where it's a long story, but basically my granddad, when he passed away, we kind of had to re-get this home because was my mum's home. And then he lived there, and then now it's our family home, if you know what I mean, is in Brighton. Yeah. So we've got some of the remnants of our childhoods here. So we've got like these dinosaur trump cards, and she's trying to like learn the names of dinosaurs, and it's like, my God, you're 2? How is this possible?
Oh, bless her.
It's so much fun though, but it's strange to be under lockdown in these circumstances because you don't imagine it would be this easy. I thought it would be more tense, but
I can't believe that no one I know is having a breakdown or an upset about it or anything.
No.
Just getting on with it. How adaptable the human spirit must be.
Sure, and it's giving people time to breathe, I think.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
And, you know, like FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yes.
You think, oh, they're going somewhere better than me. None of that.
No.
Just never go.
Well, is there anything you've got on the cards coming up with apart from your digital masterclasses? Are these going to be available for anyone to come and see?
If you go into, it's called Isolation Station Hastings. Just look it up on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And they have lots of little programs on. And the pre-recordings of my shows are on there, the quiz and the art. But people come from all around the world for the art. I love it.
Oh, fantastic.
And what was I going to say? My mind's gone. Yeah, and so my art class is Mondays at 3, quiz is Tuesdays at 8. But, you know, obviously when this is over, I'll have them back in Hastings.
Fantastic.
But this is nice because everyone can come from all over. Like yesterday, my quiz, half of my family were there, like cousins I haven't seen for years, all doing it. So that was really lovely. That I couldn't really chat to them, but I knew they were there.
Yes. I'll share the links when they go live.
Oh, thanks.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, and it's been a pleasure to be so candid.
And perhaps when this is over, you could come and visit, or I'll come to Brighton or something.
I would absolutely love to. I'd love to see the French depot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
The best place. Follow them on Instagram.
Okay.
And you can see all the stuff they've got.
May I add you on Facebook?
Of course you can.
Oh, thank you. All right.
Yeah, so just one man works at French Depot with his mum.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and thank you from everyone as being an NHS volunteer, because that's such an amazing thing to do during this time.
Well, I've only done 2 calls so far. I'm waiting for more. It's exciting.
All right, then. Well, I'll let you go now, but thank you so much, and I'll send you an email just after as well.
Oh, thanks for being in touch. It was like, the reason I didn't keep answering your emails, you know, sometimes when you've got conversation going, It doesn't say you've got an email, and it kind of just goes into the story.
Yes.
So I didn't know you were sending all those emails, so I thought, I better contact him.
Oh, it's okay.
If we're still doing it, then I saw them all.
I always think that people are going to think I'm this psychopath because I'm contacting everyone on like on the means that I can find them. So I'm like, oh my God, people are going to think I'm just this random stalker.
No, I'm always getting random stalkers, don't
Yes. All right, honey. Well, thank you
so much.
Oh, thank you. Take care and have a lovely day.
If you want anything else, just let me know.
Of course.
Bye.
All right, send in love. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode. I was really excited to speak to Sue, and she's super lovely. So check out her links. She's doing a lot of things online at the moment, and take care.